By the way, I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, shape, or form. I've had the opportunity to have him on my show more than once. I've said no every time. I don't want to help him. I'm not interested in helping him.
The night is still young. We'll see.
If I have him on, the night is still young?
Yeah.
You think I'll have him on?
I think you'll have him on.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that? Because you'll have Putin on?
And you're competitive as fuck. No. I think ultimately, I mean, you've had a lot of people that I think you may otherwise be skeptical. Would I have a good conversation? Which I think is your metric. You don't care about politics, so can I have a good conversation? And I think you had like people like Kanye on, for example, and you had a great conversation with him. I think I think
but Kanye is an artist. But Kanye doing well or not doing well doesn't change the course of our country.
Yeah, but do you really bear the responsibility of the course of our country based on a conversation?
I think you can revitalize and rehabilitate someone's image.
2 years later.
Oh, wow. I have some more big news, Megan. I'm just getting this right now. So somebody that's very, very respected asked me to do his show 2 weeks ago, and I said, why not? And to me, it's very big because he's the biggest there is, I guess, in that world by far. Somebody said the biggest beyond anybody in a long time. And his name is Joe Rogan, and he's never done this before. And it just came over the wires that Joe Rogan just endorsed me. Is that right? Thank you, Joe. That's so nice. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that stuff. And he tends to be a little bit more liberal than some of the people in this room. No, I had a lot of fun, and he was amazing, and it was a 3-hour interview. In fact, I was 2 hours late for a rally that we had. I had explained that a little bit, and it was cold out that night. We flew, but we had to make it. We were more than 2 hours late, and they understood. I said, I just was interviewed by a very interesting guy, and he just kept going on. They called it a long form, and it could have gone a lot longer, but he was great. And he's not a person that does endorsements, but he did an endorsement. So I just want to thank Joe Rogan. That's fantastic.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about President Trump getting what I believe is probably one of his most important endorsements of the presidential campaign season, which is from Joe Rogan. Okay, the day before the election, Joe Rogan went from, well, I really don't like Trump that much, I don't want him on my podcast, to having Trump on his podcast and now endorsing Trump, giving a full-throated endorsement to President Trump. After this podcast interview with Elon Musk, in which Elon Musk made a compelling but very simple case to Joe Rogan in regards to why is it that Trump must be elected, because if he's not elected, then we are effed.
Well, I'll say it again, man. I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Chamath.
Yeah, exactly.
Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left-wing, and they realize, like, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. And if the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried to push back?
And I just want to, go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
This is what we're hoping for with this election. This is what we're hoping for with the future, is that people can see we are on a bad path, and something can be done right now, and it might be the only moment in history where this is possible. Because if they do, lock the country down and make it so that voting is kind of bullshit. And you're only voting for primaries, and the people that they put in the primaries, they're controlling that in the first place. You don't really have democracy anymore. You don't really have choice.
Exactly.
You don't really have freedom.
That's right. Yeah, I think freedom is fundamentally at stake in the election tomorrow, and we'll know. I think we'll know by the end of the day tomorrow. I don't think it's going to take. It's not going to be like days after the election. I think we'll know tomorrow.
Are you optimistic?
I am currently optimistic, but the biggest factor here is that men need to vote. That is the biggest issue. So I don't know what the reason is, but men just vote at a much lower rate than women.
I think it's like 9%, right? Someone just told me that today.
It's a big difference. I'm just like saying this is a message to the men out there: vote like your life depends on it, because I think it does. Vote tomorrow like your life depends on it. Nothing is more important.
I agree.
Yeah, so that is a powerful endorsement from Joe Rogan. And I think a lot of that has to do with Elon Musk. I think a lot of it has to do with these guys that Joe Rogan probably knows pretty well. Okay, I mean, they talked about guys like Chamath and David Sachs and also Tulsi Gabbard. A lot of people who have decided that, you know what, I'm going to come over to the Republican side because of Trump, because Republicans, at least right now, we're on the right side of history, right? I mean, this election really is about freedom, right? It really is. And we're not talking about it in an exaggerated way like Democrats are talking about. It's going to be the end of democracy if Trump wins. Okay, again, that is a complete and total exaggeration. There's no real basis in reality for Democrats and their fear-mongering, right? But when it comes to conservatives, though, I mean, we have actually been on the receiving end of the authoritarianism that Democrats really want in this country, right? I mean, the Democrats, for as much as they want to talk about Trump loving autocracy, again, this is just more projection from them. They're the ones that actually love autocracy. And in this interview, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk actually talked about one of the viral stories that kind of highlight the insanity and the authoritarianism of the Democrats, which is the story about Peanut the squirrel. Now, I haven't really covered the story, but again, it's a viral story that MAGA is rallying around because I think it does represent the authoritarian left, okay, and how their priorities are out of line, okay, and the type of dystopian future that we could be facing in the sense that they don't actually really solve the real problems, right, but they will waste government time and resources going into people's houses and killing their pets, right? Which is what happened in this story that has galvanized a lot of people in this country and reminded them of how crazy the authoritarian left actually is. Take a look.
Somebody killed your squirrel.
Yeah, John Wick.
Yeah, the fucking squirrel thing is bananas.
Yeah,
that squirrel thing in New York.
Thing. So here's the thing about the whole squirrel thing is that. How can it be that we live in America, supposedly land of the free, and the government can barge into your home with guns, so if you resist, you're going to get shot, and then take your pets and execute them. And if they can do that to your pets, what do you think they can do to you?
I know that's not an exaggeration.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're oh, that's so crazy. How can you make that connection? But why would you kill that cute little squirrel that was obviously a pet and trained from the time it was a baby?
Yes.
If you see the interaction that guy has with that squirrel, it was wonderful. It was really cute.
Yes, absolutely. It was just obviously it was a beloved pet squirrel, and a raccoon too, and doing no harm, and the government comes in, barges into the guy's house, takes his pets, and kills them. And I think this should really get people out there mobilized.
Fucked up, and they shouldn't have killed that squirrel.
They shouldn't have killed that squirrel. I mean, it's like how many cases have we not heard about?
Oh, look at that little guy. And that squirrel clearly had a love relationship with that guy. He would hop all over him and climb on him. I mean, that was his pet. That squirrel thought of that man as his protector, as his companion.
Yes.
There was nothing wrong with that. And in Texas, it's totally legal. You could have a fucking zebra out here. You could have whatever you want. And that's the argument for freedom.
Yeah, that is the argument for freedom. And I think that story is a reminder of what's at stake in this country, right? If you let authoritarian leftism get too out of control, right, that is the type of story that you're going to see a lot more often than we would all like to see, okay? Because, again, if the government can come in your house and kill your pet, right, with guns out, that opens up the door to a whole lot of other things that people don't want to see. And we already know, based off what happened during the pandemic, that Democrats are willing to do anything to maintain their power and control, okay? And one of the other things that happened during the pandemic that I think we should really thank Elon Musk for is fighting back against the censorship that came from the government via pressuring social media platforms to censor on their behalf. Elon Musk stepped up and bought Twitter. And ever since then, he has been public enemy number 2 for the Democrats and the establishment. Okay, they've tried to bankrupt Twitter. They've tried to boycott Twitter. They've tried to exodus Twitter. None of these things have worked. Okay, and Elon Musk has transformed Twitter into X, which is now a free speech platform that I think has done an amazing job at helping the right push back against the mainstream liberal media and the establishment narrative. I think is one of the main reasons why Trump is so strong now, because people can speak freely, again, and push back against the propaganda via X, via Elon Musk's platform. And I think that we should all be thankful for Elon Musk sacrificing his $45 billion to save free speech in this country.
But if it wasn't for you buying that and changing Twitter, I don't think we would be where we're at right now. I think it was a pivotal moment. I think historically, when people look back on it, it's going to be a pivotal moment in this very bizarre fight for the freedom of information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time I said, I think, look, I think this is existential to the United States. It's existential to democracy, because if you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have democracy. Okay, because if you don't have freedom of speech, people cannot make an informed vote. If they're just being fed propaganda, and there's no freedom of speech, democracy is an illusion. So freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. That's why freedom of speech is the First Amendment. Once you lose freedom of speech, you lose democracy. Game over. That's why I bought Twitter.
Yeah, and that is why the Democrats are against free speech, is because they hate democracy, right? That's the honest to God truth. The Democrats do not want the people to decide anything. This is why they go out of their way to subvert democracy, even in their own primaries. And we've seen them do this over the years. And they're still so upset with Elon Musk for standing up for free speech that they are calling to punish Elon Musk if Kamala Harris wins by having the government essentially take away all their contracts from his amazing companies like Tesla and SpaceX.
Even if Trump doesn't win, the Defense Department and NASA are going to need a new arrangement for all their rockets and for all the multi-billion-dollar contracts Elon Musk's companies have with the U.S. government. The U.S. government is going to have to either, unwind from all of those contracts, or Elon Musk's companies are going to have to unwind from him. This is an untenable reality in national security terms, now that we know what we know about Elon Musk.
And I think, again, it's time to really show the Democrats that their authoritarian regime will not be tolerated in this country, and that people are going to stand up and push back against this. And I think that's what this election really is about more than anything, okay? Reining in the excesses of the left, whether it be the authoritarianism or the identity politics or out of control spending or these foreign wars, the left-wing lunacy when it comes to their assault on crime policies, which have allowed destruction and chaos in these liberal cities, the border being wide open, things like that. Again, that is what this election really is about, okay? It's about common sense and sane people versus people who don't have common sense and aren't very rational or sane, right? I mean, that's what this election comes down to. And, I think, as Elon Musk said, it's going to take men. Men are going to have to step up and to vote in droves tomorrow on election day, especially young men, in order to take our country back. That is what has to happen, right? It has to happen in order to win. And that's why this endorsement from Joe Rogan is so important. I know it's late in the game. I wish he would have done this earlier. However, better late than never. However, never late is better, right? We still have election day. Hopefully, young men are inspired by Joe Rogan to go out there and to vote for Trump. If they weren't already inspired to do so, hopefully this gets them out off the couch. I'm not sure how much of effect this will have, but regardless, I do appreciate Joe Rogan and his endorsement. I am just hoping and praying that the greatest American comeback story in American history ends the right way, which is with men stepping up and saving this country and helping President Trump take back the White House. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.